So let's. What hour are we on? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Hour 9. Okay. I don't want it to end like this. Where was I? Oh, right. Okay, so we're back to the driver. So whenever you see the rollback is the hitchhiker. Okay. Met him online a couple months ago. Never saw him in person though, obviously. That would ruin the surprise after all. I tapped my fingers against the steering wheel. This area was definitely rustic. Small town, small people, small problems. It made things easier. I didn't bother messing with the radio any further. It had long since given up the ghost. I ran my thumb over the cross on my neck, thinking, planning. Planning? And then I remembered something important. It was something that had never happened before, but it was a memory nonetheless. Funny how that works, huh? And that's when I saw you. A scrawny thing in dirty clothes. So I guess we have to stop. But that strange little memory tugged at the back of my head, so I elected to compromise. I flashed my headlights and pulled over a little further down the road from you. I went straight to the trunk as I got out and grabbed some essentials from my bag. Phone, first aid, that sort of thing. Even if it was nothing, I figured there was no harm in being prepared. What's that saying again? A stopped clock is right twice a day, or something. I closed the trunk and started heading down in your direction. I got the chance to look at the stars as I walked. The sky was gorgeous that night. No light pollution or big ugly buildings to mug things up. I could see the stars the way that the Lord intended. It helped me think. I figured I could hang around this area for a while once I was done with my visit. The air could do me some good. When I got close enough, I waved you down to get your attention. You seemed nervous. I didn't blame you. Hands in my pocket, I approached you with a smile on my face. It just didn't feel right not to have one. As soon as I saw you, I knew I made the right decision. You were a sorry sight, like you've been wandering these woods for days, alone, frightened, desperate. Poor thing, you needed help badly. Hey, you alright? Where are you headed? No response. You didn't even look me in the eyes. Like you knew something that I didn't. I took a step forward. You didn't even flinch. Take as long as you need, okay? No rush. Just tell me when you're ready. Now that got your attention. You eyed me warily, as if looking for something. I wonder what you thought you would find. You need a ride, right? Just give me a direction and I can take you there. Still nothing. You looked like you were struggling with something. Only God knew what was going on in that head of yours. But I waited, patiently, as long as you needed. It's not like I was going much of anywhere. You ran your fingers up and down your arms as if you were scratching at something, and then you finally met my gaze. Is there a town nearby? Your voice was parched from first. You sounded like you were 2 steps from passing out. No wonder you needed my help. Not for a while yet, unfortunately. I wasn't too keen on the idea of bringing someone who knew my face along with me during my visit. Besides, it wasn't really a lie. The Lord would forgive me. But there should be a gas station at the next exit, about a 20-minute drive or so. I could take you there if you like. Another pause. Something was really getting to you. Life would be so much easier if people were just open with their problems. Easier to help that way. But patience is a virtue. I knew I learned the truth eventually. I always did. Please. So polite. The way you spoke made it sound like you were trying to impress somebody. Even though I knew you didn't have a lick of trust in me. Poor thing. My car's over there. You good for a short walk? Another nod. Not much hesitation this time. Were you already warming up to me? How cute. But not enough to walk ahead of me, I figured. So I took the lead as we made our way back. I pressed a kiss to my cross when you weren't looking. Ah, the stars were still so lovely tonight. I almost got lost in them. The steady sound of your footsteps alongside mine kept me on track. I wondered if you realized how loudly you were breathing. How long until you decided to make the first move? How long until that distrust of yours got the better of you? I was ready to let it happen. I wanted you to have your moment. Patience, as always. We just made it to the car when you finally jumped me. Is the driver remembering? Pinned up against the door to the driver's seat, with your scalpel at my neck. Well, that had been your plan anyway, but I remember something that never happened before, and now, my fingers closed around your trembling wrist as you strained, trying so desperately to drive the blade into my flesh. You were too exhausted to use your full strength, so I watched you struggle in vain. What do you think you're doing? Your teeth ground against each other, so determined to see this through. Is that any way to repay a stranger's kindness? I tightened my grip, my nails digging into bone and fragile skin. You hissed, face scrunched up in pain. It was all the distraction I needed. The side of the car groaned as I slammed your weight into it. My hand was caught in fistfuls of your hair. You hung limply from my grasp, like a doll. The scalpel slipped out from your fingertips. Your eye twitched where the side of your face had made impact. With a sigh, I tossed you back onto the ground. You struggled to sit up. I kicked the scalpel under the car. No time for silly things like that anymore. You were still trying to fight, teeth bared, pulling yourself up to your knees. We couldn't have that, now could we? Is my gun? Okay, so I pulled my gun out of my pocket and aimed it right at your head. You froze, eyes wide as ever, like a deer in the headlights. Poor thing, you really hadn't expected this at all, had you? That's enough, sit down. To my surprise, you complied rather quickly. It's like all the fight in you just vanished. All it took was a little tough love, huh? There you go. Feeling better now? Your eyes stayed locked on the end of the barrel. Care to tell me why you decided to stab me in the back? I kept my voice even, gentle. No sense in losing my temper or anything. You swallowed. I could see your lip trembling. You glanced down at the ground beneath the car. Someone was getting ideas. I flicked the side of the gun with my other hand, fingers still on the trigger. You jumped at the sound. Eyes up here, buddy. Let's try again, shall we? Why were you trying to kill me? You inhaled sharply. Please. So you finally found that voice of yours. What was that? I gestured with the end of the gun. Your chest rose and fell, shaking like a leaf. Please don't kill me. You sounded like you were about to cry, but that didn't exactly answer my question now, did it? One more time. Think carefully, alright? Ooh, that's creepy. Come on now, answer the question. Patience is a virtue, but it has so little of it left. I can't exactly help those who refuse to be helped, can I? You didn't hold back this time. The words spilled out of you, ugly and messy and everywhere, like a man at a confessional. I don't know, I was just scared and I... Scared? I hummed. So then, you acted on instinct? You nodded furiously. I couldn't help it, so I... Shh. You went silent immediately. Just one more question for me. One more and I'll set you free. Your eyes widened. One more, okay? Think carefully. I tilted my head, meeting your eyes. Are you a bad person? You didn't respond. You want to go free, don't you? Answer me then. Are you a bad person? You stammered uselessly. I don't know. I don't understand what you're not sure? You aren't you? You aren't you? Your brow furrowed. I smiled. It's alright, I can tell. Bad people, they don't just come come popping up out of the ground, you see. Evil is made, raised. The world just pushes and pushes and pushes, and sooner or later, you start to push back. Seems reasonable, doesn't it? You didn't say a word, but you didn't have to. So, how'd you get to this point? Just how far did this world push you? I crouched down to meet you at eye level, watching those eyes of yours start to water. You must have been through so much to think that this was your only option. But it never ends, does it? No matter how hard you try, no matter how hard you push back, you're always left with the pain, and it never ever leaves. Your tears streamed all the way down to your chin. An endless cycle. Exactly. Round and round it goes. A life like that, it's enough to break you. You must be exhausted. You nodded. There was such relief in your face. It's okay. You don't have to go through all that anymore. I forgive you. The Lord always forgives. I wrapped an arm around your shoulder, and you crumbled like a stack of cards. You fell into me with your fists balled up in my shirt, wet with tears and snot. I held you as long as you needed, kept you as close as I could. Deep breaths, you can rest now. You're free now. I closed my eyes, smiling against your neck. You never have to suffer again. You didn't even realize my gun was at your head until it was too late. Bruh. Ending, I think that's 9, complex. Woof, okay, so let's do that again. At this point, I've been catfishing him for about 2 months, give or take. Oh wow, he didn't suspect a thing. Post the right pictures, say the right lines, and it's like watching moths to a flame. But whatever cozy little evening he had planned was the furthest thing from my mind. I tapped my fingers against the steering wheel. So is the driver a serial killer? Like, I don't know. That's the kind of vibes I'm getting now. Okay. This area was definitely rustic, okay? It made things easier. Oh, and my gun too, of course. God gave predators claws for defending themselves with. Then God gave humans a sense of justice and a Glock to see it through. I slipped it into my coat pocket, safe and sound. Oh, okay, so that's why you had the gun, because you took it from your backseat. For your trunk, I mean. But yeah. Even if it was nothing, I figured there was no harm in being prepared. What's that saying again? A stopped clock is right twice a day, or something? Hands in my pocket, my finger on the trigger, I approached you with a smile on my face. It just didn't feel right not to have one. Not to mention a pretty nasty looking shiner to show for it. Now, where'd you get something like that from? And how long had you been like this? Yeah, the driver is giving me very sleazy vibes. Besides, it wasn't really a lie. The Lord would forgive me. Had I gone and scared you already? Shame on me. Your eyes fell on my pocket, and for just a moment, doubt crept through my head. But I let go of that weakness when you nodded, slinking back a few steps to give me a wide berth. I took the lead as we followed the road to the car, letting you trail behind me. Your eyes twitched where the side of your face had made impact. Poor thing, you really hadn't expected this at all, had you? I think you are. One quick shot to defy, nothing serious mind you, just enough to keep you from causing any more trouble. You yelped like a dog and collapsed, clutching your leg to your chest. Poor thing, but it's alright, I forgive you, you know. You sounded like you were trying to say something, but only the smallest whimper escaped your lips. Well, maybe not at the moment, but eventually I will. By the time I join you, all will be forgiven. Because He always forgives. I bent down to get a better look at you now that you were more reasonable. So sharp and scrawny. It was a wonder that the wind didn't knock you over. See? God sent me to take care of people like you. People who threaten the safety of his flock. People who don't bring nothing good into this world and leave all sorts of nasty stuff behind. I brushed your hair out of your eyes, my fingers trailing across the bruise on your cheek. You stared at me with such hatred in those eyes of yours. People like me too. Give them a taste of their own medicine and whatnot. Karma, I think they call it. You spit in my face. I couldn't help but laugh. I know. This all doesn't make much sense to you right now, does it? Usually, I try not to mix work and personal business. Makes things simpler that way. But even before I saw you flagging me down, I've been seeing things. Visions, maybe. I saw your eyes widening as I spoke. Things that haven't happened yet. Things that weren't yet to be. Now, I don't fancy myself a prophet or nothing, but if the Lord's bending my ear, who am I to ignore him? And well, buddy? I wrapped my fist around a lock of your hair and pulled you up to look at me properly. You gone pale as a sheet. I tucked the barrel under your chin and gave you a smile. God wants you dead. Ending 10, Karma. Okay. We're at like hour 11. Okay, so we might be done with the ending soon? I'm not sure. He lived a little while away from my usual stomping ground, but I didn't mind it none. If I just stuck to the same places, people would start getting suspicious, start connecting the dots. Besides, there were only so many creeps and weirdos I could find on local dating sites. Branching out like this came with the job. So, is he like to catch a predator, like he's killing like pedophiles and stuff? The less people like him in the world, the better. I tapped my fingers against the steering wheel. I had a job to do. It was time to get to work. I took out my gun and pulled the trigger. Oh. Oh, you were still standing. You clutched your side where the bullet hit, hissing through your teeth. Your knees shook as you fought to stay upright, blood soaking through your shirt. You definitely weren't going anywhere anytime soon. But it didn't feel right to just leave you there. Besides, I still had a job to do. I received a vision I did for a reason, down to the last detail. You had trapped me here too long already, watched me suffer and squirm underneath your thumb. But no longer, no more of this. Things like you weren't meant to exist. Please, stop. You clawed at my leg as I pressed the end of the gun to your forehead. You looked like you were in so much pain. So I granted you mercy. Wow, it's like on site. Like, okay. Ending 11, break. It's like, you're gonna kill me? I'm just gonna kill you the minute the second I see you. Like, wow, okay. Now we're at hour 12. Do we have more after this? I mean, I hope so. I can't let you near me. Where was I? Oh, right. Assuming I played my cards right, he'd been expecting a teenage girl from the suburbs on his doorstep sometime tomorrow night. Gave me the time I needed to set up, scope out the area. Places like this are just teeming with bogs that folks don't do much searching through. If I made it clean, made it quick, I have a day or two to sightsee before his body's found and the jig is up. It'd be nice to spend some time outside the house for once. I missed stargazing. Had I forgotten something? Funny. I shook the weird sense of deja vu from my head and kept my eyes on the road. It's the Lord's way to offer assistance to those in need, after all. What sort of servant of God would I be if I left you there? Before I could even blink, you drove a scalpel straight through my stomach. I fell to my knees, arms wrapped tight around my waist, fighting to stop the bleeding. You flicked the blood free from the blade and stepped towards me again, but for some reason, your hands were shaking. You looked terrified. Don't. Your voice trembled, eyes blown wide. Don't come near me again. Again? I choked, feeling blood and bile rise up in my throat. My vision shook. What are you talking about? I fell to the ground as the life drained from my body. I never found out who you were or why you killed me. You didn't even remember? I'm alive, but I don't want it to end like this. Ending 12. Obligation. Ooh, okay. Clock is spazzing out. Okay, alright. Let me tell you a story. This was the end for both of us. First, we are even. Does that make sense? I insist. No. No! Where was I? And when was this? The 7th loop? The 18th? The car crashed. That much was obvious. Was this the one where I stabbed you first, or the one where I tried to threaten you? I couldn't remember. Or... wait, why couldn't I roll back past this point? It wasn't working. Was I stuck again? Was this a memory? Some new kind of hitch? Or did I finally reach the end? So then, this was it. My final loop. The only ending I had left, and I couldn't even remember which one it was. After all this time, fate won out, so my only option was to give up. Something was moving, a sound off to my left. Oh, it must have been you. I guess that you survived the impact this time. Were you still conscious? Then all I could do now was look. I was alive? Just barely. My breath was slow, uneven. My cross dangled loosely from my neck. Even without looking up, I already knew what had happened. My car crashed. We survived, but not enough to save ourselves. It was a miracle that we were still breathing at all. And you. Somehow, I knew you were connected to all of this. The memories of things that haven't happened yet. The weird sense of deja vu every time I looked you in the eyes. The little coincidences and oddities that kept on piling up. And how I knew we've been through this before. That we died before. Even though it seemed so impossible. But we already had one miracle under our belt. What was one more? Your eyes bored into mine, red and bloodshot and weepy. If this was how things were gonna end anyway, then I didn't have much else to lose. Oi. The sound was more of a croak than anything else, like I hadn't had a drink in weeks. I nudged your hand with my own, trying to get your attention. Those eyes of yours, I could never tell if you were actually looking at me, or just straight through me. For all I knew, you kept the damn things open while you slept. Certainly wouldn't be the weirdest thing about you. You blinked, owl-like, mouth hung open in that way you do when you were off in your own little world. I shifted in place, flicking your wrist. Hey, Earth to Poindexter? You still with me? Now that got your attention. You jolted as soon as my nail hit skin. I never realized just how many scars you had on your hands alone. Were some of those bite marks? I am conscious. I noticed. Not sure how long we have left, though. Indeed, he looked away. Never a good sign. So I think I ought to know the truth before I kick the bucket. How? How do you mean? Cut the crap. You're not nearly as good a liar as you think you are. You huffed. So tell me what's really going on here. At the very least, so I know who to blame for it. It is not that simple. Most things in life aren't. Tell me anyway. You took your time, rolling your lip between your teeth. You are correct. You deserve to know. Yet, even so, you swallowed. For some reason, you looked real small all of a sudden. Even so, could you do something for me in return? I glanced up. A look of absolute bewilderment crossed your face. I didn't blame you. I had already done so much, and to ask yet another thing of you was nothing short of selfish, to say the least. I wouldn't forgive me either. I mean, it depends. Within reason, obviously. That was already more than enough. It is nothing major. My gaze fell upon where your hand was touching mine. Calluses and rough skin hidden underneath a worn leather glove. The hand of a worker. How little I knew about you, even now. I am not the best at telling stories. Speaking in general is difficult. But I do enjoy listening to them. So, once I am finished, could you tell me a story as well? Immature, selfish, stupid. A request that was everything I hated to be, and more. But with the world ending around me, I wanted that indulgence. Sure. To my surprise, you answered without an ounce of hesitation, like it was nothing. But, I'm warning you. Storytelling ain't exactly my forte either. Ain't too great at talking too, but it gets the job done. I couldn't resist the smile tugging at my lips. It most certainly does. I took a deep breath. How much do you remember? About tonight, about me. You clicked your tongue, taking a moment to respond. Let's see. I remember when you couldn't stop laughing, even as we were dying. Actually, I couldn't really tell if you were laughing or not. In general, I remember meeting you for the first time. Anything else? Well, I remember trying to strike up a conversation one time, but you shot me down right away and didn't say a word after that. I kept on driving, and eventually, you weren't there anymore, and we hadn't met yet. Things just reset. And one other thing. Oh? I remember you killing me as soon as I stepped out of the car. So that part stuck. I didn't remember anything at the time, but with what I know now, you must have had a real good reason to be so scared, didn't you? I waited, making sure you were finished before I spoke, or procrastinated on getting out of with it, more like. Everything that you have just told me did occur once. In one timeline or another. I remember everything, every death, every ending. Sometimes I have lost track of the details here and there. But even as the world moves on without us, I have kept you here, looping again and again. You sighed. I figured it was something like that. Doesn't take a genius to put two and two together. How long has this been going on? I am uncertain. Long enough that I cannot roll back any further. Days, undoubtedly. Weeks, perhaps. At this point, it has been more times than you could possibly comprehend. And a sob bubbled up in my throat before I could push it back down. I squeezed my eyes shut. I can't keep going any longer. My voice cracked, and I couldn't bring myself to hold it all in. As disgusting and shameful as useless as I felt, I sobbed there into the dirt once reality came crashing down upon me. All this time I've been trying to escape this stupid cycle. Breaking out, getting captured, being punished, trying to break out again, over and over and over. Something in my chest was aching like it never had before. I sniffed, wiping my nose on my sleeve. I really thought that this time would be for good, that I could escape and find some better ending. But now I'm just stuck in a whole other cycle, and I've gone in and roped you into it too. I stopped, trying to breathe properly again. I felt revolting. I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry that you got dragged into all of this. My fingers dug into the ground, my nails scraping up all the dirt and loam and ash and filth they could find. I wanted to scratch at my arms instead, so badly, but it hurt too much to move. If I could just sink my teeth in, maybe I could dull the pain away, just like usual. And then I felt something. Your hand, you were squeezing mine, firm yet so gentle. So I opened my eyes. Let me tell you a story. I said it so casually, like I had the faintest possible idea what I was doing. I didn't know. I didn't care. All I knew was that this was the end of everything and someone needed my help. Whatever pain you were going through, however much you suffered, I promised you a story with a happy ending. And if God had abandoned me here, then I sure as hell wasn't going to do the same to you. I took a deep breath and looked up at the stars. This is a story about a scorpion. A scorpion with a big venomous stinger and scary looking claws. One day, the scorpion needed to get across a wide open river. But he couldn't swim, obviously, so he went to ask someone for help. Why did he need to get across the river? Who knows? To get to the other side? Oh, then who did the scorpion ask for help? A turtle. He asked a turtle that was resting nearby on the riverbank. Isn't this supposed to be a frog? Hey, who's the one telling the story here? You snorted. Carry on, then. So the scorpion asked the turtle for a ride across the river. The turtle was a strong swimmer with a powerful shell to defend itself with, so he could make it across no problem. The turtle had nothing to fear, so he told the scorpion to climb right on board, and the two set off. But a scorpion's nature is to sting that which it sees. While they are swimming across the river, the scorpion will have no choice but to attack its friend. A scorpion's stinger can't pierce the turtle's shell. No matter its nature, the turtle wouldn't get hurt. Then, would the turtle even notice that the scorpion had tried to kill him at all? I mean, no, if you can't feel it, nah. He'd be too busy swimming. Then the turtle wouldn't even know? He wouldn't even know that his own friend tried to kill him. Only the scorpion would remember. He forever lived with the sin of a betrayal that only he knew. I do not think I like that story very much. It's the only one I got, buddy. If you don't like it, come up with a better ending. It is not that simple. No? Why not? The future's what you make of it. The nature of a scorpion cannot be denied. No matter how many times he tries, his fate has already been determined. What, like destiny or something? No, just stupidity and self-sabotage. I squeezed your hand. It doesn't have to be that way, you know? I have no say in the matter. It is the very essence of an endless cycle. My ending will always remain the same. Even if you escape it, there is no escape. I thought the same thing one time. But that whenever I gave in, threw all those months of hard work into the gutter for the sake of another quick smoke, that there was no point in even trying. That the more I struggled, the harder it would get. And I was wrong. And I was wrong. The effort that comes with getting yourself out of something like that, it never really ends. You don't just break out and then you're home free. You have to keep going. As much as it sucks, it's a commitment. How much more committed do I have to be? Your voice was full of venom. You have no idea how long I have been trying. No idea how much My fingers curled around yours as you took a shaky breath. How much I've had to do just to get this far. If the reason why I'm still here is only because I didn't try hard enough, then maybe I never actually had a chance in the first place. Maybe so. What? Maybe you just don't have it in you to go at this alone. No shame in it. Happens to the best of us. That's why you gotta know when to cut your losses and ask someone for help. You huffed. You make it sound so easy. I know. What was it that you said earlier? It's not that simple? And you're right, it isn't. But if you've already tried everything and you're just about ready to give up anyway, what else do you have to lose? Nothing. But the same cannot be said for the person helping me. That's on them, their life, their choices. I would still be responsible for the hardships they suffered. What did I just say? You went quiet again. But I had enough of this anyway. What are you? Come on, you. Up and at them. Even as every part of my body screamed in protest, I pulled myself up to my feet, using one of the trees nearby to keep my balance. But I didn't let go of your hand. You're going to kill yourself if you try to move that much. Yeah. You killed me plenty of times already. I can handle this. As I said that, I plucked out a piece of shrapnel from my stomach and hissed as the pain hit me all over again. Case in point. Oi, that's enough out of you, wise guy. Come on, get moving. Excuse me? Sliding my hand down to your forearm, you yelped as I pulled you up beside me. I saw your leg was twisted, bent, and broken in all the wrong ways, so I eased you onto my shoulder to help you stand. You're coming with me, buddy. This better ending of yours that you want so bad. Wherever it is, we're gonna find it. You wobbled, clinging to my arm for dear life. This is ridiculous. We could not make it a single step, much less far enough to find help. I dragged us forward past the tree. You practically shrieked. See? Look at that, a step. We'll be out of here before you know it. Your nails dug into the fabric of my shirt. Why should we bother? I grunted, groping for another branch to hold on to, while I pulled us forward. It hurt to breathe. Listen, I have no idea what kind of higher power you ascribe to, but God put me here for a reason, and that reason is to rid the world of bad people and look after the good ones. No matter how this ends, whether I get you somewhere safe or die trying, I'm doing exactly what I set out to do. We took the next few steps in silence as my boots slid across the dirt, your bad foot dragging behind you. You're insane. Nope, just stupid. Now, are you gonna help us walk or what? I didn't expect you to respond, or do much of anything really. I was perfectly content to keep us going until I couldn't anymore. But instead, you reached out to touch my chest and... Ow. It felt like I'd been socked in the gut. Something reverberated through me, and it took a second to shake off the impact. What the fuck? What the fuck did you do to me? But you didn't answer. When I looked down, I saw you gone completely limp. Oi! Oi! You didn't move a muscle. Your head rolled to the side, nosebleed streaming down across your lips. And then I realized how much better I was feeling. I looked down at my stomach, where the glass had sliced me open from the crash. It was like the wound was closing in on itself, not healing per se, but melting together as if it had never been there at all, like it was reversing itself or rolling back. I kept moving, ached like hell, but as my strength came back to me, I hoisted you up over my shoulder and carried you as far as I could. It was like you weighed nothing at all. I had no idea how long we've been stuck here. I had no idea how much time we lost, or how the world had changed since we were last a part of it. But I knew one thing for sure. I was going to find us that better ending, even if it killed me. Even if there was no point in trying. even if neither of us really deserved it, because God knows we needed it. End 0, nurture. Right, so this is way back in like ending 8, shake head. I shook my head, little things, anything that could possibly make a difference. No offense, buddy, but you're the one that flagged me down in the first place, aren't ya? I just can't leave you like this. At least let me get you set up at a motel or something. Figures. Not much tended to change before I got in the car, unless I did something drastic. I insist. How were you able to smell so freely like that? I'll never understand it. Either way then. With a small nod, you turned back towards the car. Frog. He asked a frog that was resting nearby on the riverbank. I think I've heard this story before. We'll see. Then the frog agreed or the frog refused? The frog agreed. The frog agreed and told the scorpion to climb right on aboard. Because if the scorpion tried anything, they both would drown after all. Then the two set off. What happens while they swim across the river? While they're making their way across, something has to happen. That's just how stories like this go. So which one will make the first move? The scorpion would. I see. Then, what did the scorpion do? The scorpion stung the frog in the back. The frog succumbed to venom and died, and the scorpion drowned beneath the waves. A familiar ending. A scorpion can't fight its own nature after all, even if he asked the frog for help. I do not think I like that story very much. It's the only one I got, buddy. And I was right. If your only instinct is self-sabotage, if you keep telling yourself the only reason you're alive now is for this promise of some better ending out there, then of course you're never going to escape. So you just stop caring. What? Life ain't like the stories. Nothing goes the way it should, and there's no neat and tidy ending waiting for you when everything all works out. You just kinda keep going and going until you can't anymore. So don't buy into all that crap. Don't run yourself ragged looking for some higher purpose or whatever. Do what you think has purpose. Do what you want to do, so you can live without any regrets. Let those endless cycles do what they will. The only reason you feel stuck in them is because you keep telling yourself that you're stuck. Isn't that just giving up? If you don't even try at all? Maybe. Sure as hell beats hating on myself for trying and failing anyway though. How nihilistic. Yeah, I agree. Although I suppose there is a certain comfort in that. Exactly. If things don't have any meaning, if you're always gonna find yourself at the same awful conclusion, might as well have some fun along the way, right? That's how you escape those cycles. You just stop caring. I see. I'm so tired. I just want to rest for a while. I hummed. Rest as long as you need. We've got all the time in the world, don't we? I got a snort out of you with that one. You curled up against my arm, still as the grave, while I stared up at the sky through the trees. It hurt to breathe. I was about to let it all go when I felt you nudge at my palm, your voice no louder than a whisper. May I request one last thing of you? Shoot. Even after all this time, I don't believe I've ever asked you for your name. Don't think you told me yours either. I don't have one. Tell you what. My thoughts slowed down to a crawl. Everything sounded and felt so far away. I'll give it to you when you wake up. Okay, buddy? Do you promise? I promise. I could feel you smiling against my skin as I drifted away completely. Liar. Ending 13. Tethered. Okay, yeah, so that was HikeBack, all the endings. Yeah, so this ending in particular is kind of bittersweet to me, because like it's still nice that they bonded, but they kind of died and had to like restart the cycle again. And yeah, so my favorite ending was probably like, I guess the true ending, like the one before this. Um, but all in all, I really enjoy this game. It like, it kind of is like Groundhog Day with like the whole time travel aspect, with like a bit of ReZero, just like remembering stuff and just like people just like remembering stuff and trying to change it. So I guess it kind of also reminds me a bit of Higurashi with like the blood, like with like all the gore and blood and stuff. Um, and I guess there is a bit of like Stranger Things mixed into it, with like the whole secret experiment person with like a evil person like trying to like contain them. With like as in his case it was like her, and in Stranger Things it was like 11 with um the pop-up person. Yeah. So yeah, another thing about this game that I found really cool was that there was like this whole change in perspective when you like finish a certain amount of endings. So you kind of like humanized the hiker, the experiment person, and yeah, so it was really cool how they did that, and I really enjoyed this. Like I did wish we got to see more of like her, and to like have her play a part of the story, because like he seemed convinced that she was kind of like trapping him in this cycle in a way. So like I wonder if that was actually true, or was it just like his own doing, that he kept himself in this cycle because of like he didn't feel like he deserved to have a better ending. So yeah, that was HikeBack. I hope you guys enjoyed it as well, and please hit like and subscribe if you want more content like this in the future. And I will see you guys next time. Bye.